Quick, quick, quick. I think I'm good. I think I'm live, I think I'm good. I think everything's fine, hopefully. Please, this time around, please work. I really want to get this game going. Alright, I think it's all good. Everything looks dandy. Perfect! Thank God, that was a headache and a half. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, we are here with Gaikokujin no Sensei, which is a brand new visual novel romance game made by Copy Bunny. The dev has worked on this game for several years, and it has been a roller coaster of a ride for the team. It's a fully voice-acted visual novel game. The only character that isn't voiced is you. So you have a lot more fun just enjoying the story. Your choices can affect which girl you have the ending for, and each one comes with a little surprise for you, which I won't say anything about. So we're gonna go new game. Boop boop. Charlie. Alright, everyone wanting to get this game. I think the link is still here in Twitch. I'm not too sure because I don't often stream on Twitch, which is probably something I should change. But I did put a link in the description as far as I'm aware. And what it's $10, so I got the itch.io link and the link to the Twitter of Gaikokujin no Sensei. It's also found on Steam, so it's really cheap for a wonderful game, so I definitely recommend buying the game so you can support the developers. But for this right here, for streamers, it asks if you're over 18. Even if you are 18, if you're streaming and you get paid, just hit no. Just trust me on this, just hit no if you want to keep your money. It is the quickest way to lose your money. I can't believe this is where my life has led me. Less than a year ago, my life was great. Had a girlfriend, had a decent job, everything seemed to be relatively going my way. Of course, life can never be that easy.
I'm sorry, but it's just not working out. You and I want different things.
No, baby Lisa, don't do it. Don't say that, Lisa. We can make it work.
Please don't. It'll only make it harder.
Look, I'm sorry. We're in a crunch and your team has been deemed, unnecessary.
You're unnecessary. It's so unnecessary you don't have a CG. I'm gonna get shit from Brandon for that later. Are you serious? 5 years here and all I get is an I'm unnecessary?
Look, I know this isn't the best situation, but you're making a scene.
Who cares if I'm making a scene?
I really don't want to have to call security. Please, it would be better if you just left.
Boy! Can't believe I've been reduced to searching for jobs at the mall. And even they don't seem to be hiring. This is ridiculous. I'm gonna get a lot of shit for the jokes I make, but in my defense, that's just how I am, honestly. I will crack jokes. Oh god. Hey. My downward spiral felt like it had been going on for months, but in reality, the breakup, the loss of my job, all happened within a week of each other, and because of my girlfriend's expensive tastes. I realized just how little money I had saved up. Rent was coming due, and soon enough I wouldn't be able to afford it. My eyes were drawn towards a coffee chain located next to a prominent bookstore. I let out a sigh. Well, at least for now I can still afford a coffee. I walk over and buy a medium coffee, thanking the smiling clerk who hands it to me and wishes me a nice day. Yeah, funny, a nice day. I casually take a sip as I continue to walk throughout the mall. I can't believe how many shops in the mall don't even have a help wanted sign. Ugh. Had I really fallen so far? Having gone from working in a cushy department in an office to scrounging in the mall for any type of work whatsoever? This is not how I imagined I'd be spending my mid-30s. I casually take another sip of my coffee as I look around the mall. Despite the advent of online shopping, it still seems to be bustling even for a weekday. Suddenly, something catches my eye. A kiosk seems to be set up a little down the way with a banner set up, almost as if it were an information station. Information station across the nation. Sorry. My attention is drawn to the lady who is standing in front of the kiosk. She appears to be Asian. Of what kind, I can't really distinguish. I've always been terrible on guessing people's nationalities. The lady seems to be attempting to get people's attention with a clipboard. Nearly everyone seems to be walking by her, either giving a polite refusal or not even reacting to her. Finishing up the remnants of my coffee, I throw the empty cup into the garbage. What the hell, I'm not doing anything. I shrug to no one in particular as I make my way over to her. She's probably asking for a signature for a petition, or, with any luck, maybe she's trying to do paid surveys or something. I pass through the bustling crowd of shoppers and walk over towards the woman. At first, she doesn't see my approach, her eyes scouring the crowd for someone to speak with. Finally, as I get within about 5 feet, I make a noise. Seemingly hearing me, she turns around. Immediately upon seeing me looking at her, a large smile crosses her face.
Oh, hello there. Very nice to meet you.
Yeah! You're gonna hear a lot of voice acting because literally every character except yourself is voice acted, which is awesome. I don't know how many visual novel games do that. But the talent on here is amazing, and honestly, all of the VAs definitely deserve all the love. And, I mean, take a look at the backgrounds, the CG, it's also gorgeous. 3 years spent on this game, and it's come to this. It's beautiful. Please, 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 I cannot recommend enough supporting the dev. He put a lot of his heart and soul into this, and it's finally a reality. She gives a slight bow while clasping her clipboard. I merely rub the back of my head with my hand in embarrassment, attempting my best to give a slight bow back. Hello? Her smile continues as she speaks.
Are you interested?
Her eyes brighten up upon asking this, almost to the point where I could swear they were replaced by stars. Taken a bit aback, I glance between the kiosk and back to her, looking for any clue as to what the setup could be about. With more than a hint of embarrassment, I smile awkwardly. Maybe? What is it exactly? Luckily for me, the woman seems to be more amused than annoyed as she giggles into one of her hands before looking back at me.
So, you merely came over out of curiosity?
I mean, no, I'm kidding. I mean, kinda, sorta. I pause for a moment, and before I know it, words start to fumble out from my mouth. Well, you see, I was just walking, and you looked to be trying to get people's attention, but you didn't seem to be, having, well, you know, luck. But that doesn't mean that you weren't earlier. The longer I went on, the less and less I could bear to look her in the eye. I peter off at the end and leave an awkward silence that hangs in the air. After a few moments, I dare to turn my eyes back to her, who, to my surprise, is smiling warmly.
You have a very kind heart.
She says simply, a genuineness echoing through the simple words. This catches me so off guard that I blush slightly. Another short silence passes before I speak again. So, what is this exactly? As I'm breaking out of a trance, the lady lets out a surprise noise.
Oh, right. We are Ingustep.
I raise my eyebrow. Ingustep. The lady nods.
Basically, we're an intercultural teaching company that's located out of Japan. Tell me, do you have a bachelor's degree?
Yeah, but it's not in teaching, it's... Seemingly relieved, she cuts me off.
That's perfectly alright. As long as you have a bachelor's, it really doesn't matter in what.
I look at her as if she has 3 heads. So you're saying that to teach, I don't need a teaching degree or certificate?
That's right. To be fair, you really wouldn't be the main teacher per se. You'd be an assistant language teacher.
I cross my arms, showing my confusion. And what's the difference?
Well, you wouldn't be grading tests or anything like that. You'd just be helping reinforce the students' English they already know.
Oh, hi Eden, what's up? Welcome to Gaikokujin no Sensei, a brand spanking new visual novel game that's fully voice acted. So it's for English.
Mm-hmm.
I think to myself for a moment. Me, an English teacher, I want to laugh, but I also don't want to offend the lady in front of me. I'm not sure I'd be the best option for an English teacher. I mean, I've never. Before I can continue though, she cuts me off.
Oh, that's not a problem. Many of our best teachers come from completely non-teaching backgrounds.
Wow, she was really doing the hard sell. So, do you have a business card or a website? The woman seems to let out a small sigh as she places a smile once again on her face.
Of course.
Actually, what I'm gonna do real quick. No, everything. Okay. Slightly more up. Boop. Save. She walks over to her kiosk for a moment, only to come back holding a business card.
I don't believe we've been properly introduced. My name is Yuriko.
Oh, I'm Charlie. She continues to smile at me.
That's a lovely name.
I found myself blushing again. To cut off the awkwardness, I keep the conversation up. So, nice to meet you. Smooth, Charlie. Real smooth. So you're saying that this job, you said it's located out of Japan? I let out a soft chuckle. So what, would I have to pack up my stuff and move to Japan?
Essentially.
Wait, really?
Of course. You'd be teaching in a Japanese school after all.
What, seriously?
Mm-hmm. Oh, but then again, I don't want to be presumptuous. But you probably have a wife or children, correct? So it may not be an option.
I shake my head. No, none to speak of.
Oh, well that certainly would make it easier.
First time I've ever heard someone say being by themselves was a good thing. As if sensing my doubt, she speaks again.
I know taking a move to another country is a big deal, but it's also very rewarding. We would love it if you at least just thought about it. We obviously don't need an answer now. If you have any questions, though, please feel free to call me at that number.
She gestures to the business card I'm still holding in my hand. Right, thanks. Seeing as she basically hijacked that entire conversation, it was nearly impossible to get a word in edgewise. That lady was a pretty damn good saleswoman. I'll think about it.
That's all we ask. It's been wonderful meeting you, and I hope to see you in the future.
She bows again. Right, you too. I give a terribly awkward half bow, and with that, she turns back her attention now on other people wandering the mall. I take a few steps away before I glance at the business card one more time before shaking my head and shoving it in my pocket. Ah, me, an English teacher. Okay, sure. I let out an exasperated sigh and then continue on my journey to mall employment. After what seemed like an eternity, I managed to get back to my apartment. Ow, my everything. I say as if I were an old man. To be fair, I scoured one of the largest malls in America for over 8 hours. I think I'm allowed to be exhausted. And despite that, not a single person was hiring. I say to no one in particular as I sigh loudly. I flop on the bed unceremoniously as I lay my arm over my forehead. It seems that over the past few weeks, I have been slowly lowering my standards on what job I would take. First, it was only jobs in my field. Then it was jobs of an equal pay rate. Now it was jobs in the damn mall. Oh, how the mediocre have fallen. I move my arm away from my forehead to reach into my pocket. I fish around for my phone before finally reaching my prize. Yanking it free, a small piece of paper comes with it. My attention is drawn to the paper. Oh, it's the business card from that lady. What was her name? A moment later, her name comes to mind. Right. Yuriko. I scrutinize the card, looking at every piece of information. On the bottom is the website URL. Using my free hand, I search for the website on my phone. Looking over it, the company seems to be pretty legit. Been around for 25 years, blah blah blah. I scroll through the pages. In it are pictures of people in suits in front of a classroom, smiling and laughing. I mean, it doesn't look like a terrible job, but do I really even want to consider leaving the country just for a job? This is a very critical decision. So I'm going to save here, because you get one ending here if you pick one or the other. There's one guaranteed ending here. I mean, it's not like I'm going to get the job or anything, but what the hell? It seriously couldn't hurt to just apply. I pick myself up off the bed and head over towards my computer. I boot up the computer and make my way over to the website. I pull up my resume, giving it a quick once-over before I attach it to the website's application. They ask some general questions on the application, such as name, location, and then some weird ones like, do you have a visible tattoo? Either way, in about 15 minutes, I finished it. I hesitate only for a moment before hitting the send button. As if what I did required some sort of large effort, I stretch and put my hands behind my head, leaning back in my chair. So, Japan, huh? I let out a yawn, interrupting my thoughts. Oh man, I'm exhausted. I pull myself forward, crossing my arms in front of me as I lay my head on them, using them as a pillow on my desk. I just need a second to rest. I'll get ready for bed and just, I feel my eyelids start to close even as my words start to slow down. I groggily open my eyes. I feel a crick in my neck as I slowly start to sit up. Ugh, I fell asleep on my desk? Jeez, I can't remember the last time I did that. I glance over at the clock on my cell phone. It says 3:30 a.m. As I'm about to turn off the cell phone, one other thing catches my eye, an email notification. Probably another spam mail. I say to myself with a sigh, but open it out of habit. To my surprise, I see the word Ingustep on the receiving email address. Wow, they sure rejected me fast. I mumbled this to myself as I opened the email, still half awake. The email reads as follows. Thank you so much for your interest in teaching abroad. We are happy to inform you that our initial assessment deems you to be a qualified candidate. We would very much like for you to come in for an interview, as well as a mock lesson. We have enclosed all the rules and guidelines for your lesson. We look forward to seeing you at the interview. The email ends there. For a moment, the email didn't seem to process. Finally, the words filtered to my brain. Wait, they're seriously interested? I run my hand through my hair. Great! I have to do a mock lesson, whatever the hell that is. This time, I really do turn off the phone as I get off my chair and climb over to my bed. As I slide in beneath the covers, I let myself have a soft chuckle. Yeah, me, an English teacher, that'll be the day. I think this to myself as I once again let sleep overtake me. Take me, sleep, take me! Let's get it taken out of context. Intro! I mean, look at all this, come on! And now you see all the VA's names, so please, feel free to go send them some love! Yes, Pookie, I see you watching. Hello? I love that y'all are seeing all these without any context. can't believe it. Somehow I ended up in Japan. Seriously, how the hell did this even happen? The past few months went by in a blur. It felt like just yesterday, I was talking to that lady in the mall, and now I'm actually in another country. I didn't think... Oh. You know, I should save here, actually. I didn't think for a minute after that mock class presentation that they would want me, but, well... Here I am. And it wasn't like any other job was beating down my door. Hell, I had to take out a loan just to afford my first month of housing here. But still, I have a job. That's something, right? Oh, right. Speaking of which, I should probably let my job know that I arrived here okay. I pull out my phone and dial the number they gave me. There's no response on the other end. In fact, it doesn't even make a ringing sound. Confused, I look at the phone itself. No bars. Suddenly I feel like hitting myself in the head. Right. Of course, there wouldn't be service. I'm in another country. Placing the phone back in my pocket, I look around for a payphone. Luckily for me, they seem to have a lot more payphones than they do in America. After fishing some yen out of my pocket, I got some currency converted before coming over. I walk over to a payphone and make a call to the number on the card. Hello? Yes, that's Charlie. Yes, I'm here in Japan. Right, I'll be there tomorrow. The man on the other end basically welcomes me to Japan and tells me that the first day of introductions will be tomorrow in a town quite a ways away. Apparently, by bullet train, it will take about 3 hours. Bullet train, huh? I did some research before coming in and found out that these things can reach over 200 miles per hour. That's a hell of a lot faster than our trains in America. I head towards the baggage retrieval area and look for my bags. I breathed an immense sigh of relief upon seeing my large black bag on the turnstile. I had no idea what I would have done if I lost that. It was basically everything I had left. Anything that was too large to bring along, I had either sold or donated, and of course I was renting the apartment. It kind of actually made me feel like a hobo. A suit-wearing hobo. Now that I have my luggage, there's only one thing left to do, and that is to get my ticket for the bullet train. There's only one problem. I don't speak a word of Japanese. The strange thing was, I told them this several times during the interview process, and they told me that that wasn't an issue. I assumed they meant for the job, but in terms of getting around, it might pose a problem. Luckily for me, the Tokyo airport seems to have a lot of English posted all around. Just in case though, I pull up my little Japanese phrase book I purchased at the bookstore at the mall. Following the signs, I eventually make it to what appears to be a train station ticket window. I see a younger looking man at the desk. I flip through my phrase book. I clear my throat. Sumimasen. Eigo wa hanashimasu ka? Excuse me, do you speak English? I am probably mispronouncing this so badly that I must be making this poor guy shudder. To my surprise though, he merely smiles.
Yes, sir, I do speak English.
Yes, this game's MC is not magically Japanese fluent after being slapped from America to Japan, which is a very realistic take on a character from America to Japan. Because not everyone magically knows Japanese. Hell, I'm still practicing, so a lot of this shit might fly over my head. But it's such a real feel and I love it. He says this with a bit of an accent, but far better than anything I could do in Japanese. Oh, thank God. I'm sorry if I butchered that.
It's fine, sir. It wasn't that bad. First time in Japan?
I scratched the back of my head. It's that obvious?
Oh, I apologize. I meant no offense.
Huh? Oh, none taken. Now I feel bad. But I would like a ticket to... I checked the piece of paper that I printed out with the address. Rather than butcher the name, I figure it would just be easier to show him the paper. Here. I say as I push the paper over to him. He looks over the paper a moment before smiling again.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
He checks his computer for a moment.
It seems there's only one more train leaving there today. It leaves in 30 minutes.
30 minutes? And I assume the next train doesn't leave until morning?
That's correct.
Damn, I was hoping to catch an overnight train to avoid having to stay in a hotel tonight. But I guess it can't be helped. Sure, that's fine. I give him a small smile as I pay for my ticket. Thanking him, I take it as well as my luggage and head for the train station. Hey, look at these backgrounds. Come on, there was so much love and effort put into this game. I can only read some of this up here. From the little bit that I can actually like legitimately read. And it's so broken on my end because I only understand like a fraction of it. Fuck. I need to keep practicing. Following the signs, I quickly enough arrive at the station. I check the sign, which thankfully was in English. Pulling my suitcases along, I make my way into the train car and sit down, letting out an audible exhale as I do. Whew, made it. Look at this and tell me it's not gorgeous. I will throw hands with anyone that tries to shit talk this shit. It's so good. According to the ticket seller, the trip itself is indeed about 3 hours, which means I have nothing to do but sit here and wait. I pull out a book I had been reading earlier on the airplane. I only had a few chapters left, so I figure I might as well just finish it. I seem to get lost in the story as the scenery passes around me, the barely audible rumbling of the train in the background. I'm shaken out of my senses by the sound of the train stopping. Turning my head towards my phone, I can see that 3 hours has indeed passed me by. Muttering a quick curse under my breath, I grab my suitcases and make a beeline for the exit of the train. Phew! I let myself breathe again. That was close. Clutching my bags, I step off the platform and into the street. Then, as I stand there, I realize another problem. Oh, wait a minute. Is there a hotel around here? I quietly ask myself. The first thing I notice as I look around is that there's a lot less English everywhere. It seems to be limited to street signs as well as some buildings. I feel a slight sense of panic set in. Okay, calm down, Charlie. There's gotta be some sort of brochure or... Nope, no such luck. Great, I guess this means I'm walking. I pick up my 2 heavy suitcases and begin to wander around town. The gods must be smiling on me or something because after only about 5 minutes of walking, I come across what has to be a hotel. Either they're going to have a room or hopefully they'll know who will. Oh, oh god, it's so beautiful. It's an Easter egg. The first location on the screen says somewhere. Of course you would. Of course you would. That's amazing. Somewhere. Oh my god. That's brilliant. Well, actually, now that I think back on what I could understand, yeah, that about fits it. God, somewhere. As I make my way into the hotel's entrance, I am greeted by an older lady with a smile.
こんばんは、お元気ですか?
I inwardly cringe as I have no idea what she's saying. I try to remember the words from earlier. Unfortunately, I can only remember one. Eagle?
Ah, Ishin.
She puts up her hand as if to tell me to wait. She quickly walks out to the back. Within a few moments, however, a young girl comes in. She can't be more than 15.
Hello, sorry. I don't speak much English. I'll help?
It's she. It is she. Fuck, I didn't even tell Ryan that I was streaming. Motherfucker. But my friend Ryan voices this character and Ryan voiced a couple characters in this game, including, I think, the hotel lady we just literally heard speak like 2 seconds ago, but god damn. She always does an amazing job. I love Ryan's voice acting. Despite her English being broken, I can't very well judge her on it, considering my lack of any Japanese. Oh, no, it's okay. I stopped for a minute as I realized I should probably slow down as to not overwhelm her. I need a room. How much? The girl seems to be listening intently before nodding.
Yes, we have room. 10,000 yen.
I try to remember the currency conversion in my head. That's about a little less than $100 for a night. About what I expected. I nod. That is okay. The girl seems relieved that I am not overwhelming her with English and smiles at me.
Is that good? Passport, please?
I am taken aback for a moment, but soon shake it off. That has to just be Japanese custom. Shrugging, I hand her the 10,000 yen note and my passport. She bows and leans for a moment before coming back.
Thank you. Room 203.
She says the numbers individually instead of trying to say 203. Grabbing my suitcases, I take the elevator located at the back of the lobby. Getting off at the second floor, I soon find my room. Opening the door, I step inside and immediately drop off my suitcases. I shake my hands to get feeling back into them. I didn't exactly walk a long way, but when you carry your entire life in 2 suitcases, they get pretty heavy. Flopping down the bed, I begin to collect my thoughts for a moment. What time would it be back home right now? Glance at the clock to my right. About 6 p.m. now, so that would make it about 5 a.m. in America? Strangely enough, I don't really feel super tired, probably because I took a nap on the plane. Still though, I'm dreading the time when Mr. Jetlag will rear his ugly head. Until then, however, I should probably do something. After all, I can't just sit in this hotel room for around 4 hours. True, the sun has begun to set, but I came all the way to another country. I should probably at least try to take a short stroll around the area. Besides, I haven't eaten anything or had a drink since the plane. Maybe there's something around here. I gather my small messenger bag and make my way back to the lobby. As I step out of the elevator, I notice the elderly woman is back at her post. Seeing me exit, she gives me a large smile. I give her a head nod. I struggle to remember the word. Arigato. I say incredibly awkwardly. Ooh. Oops. The old lady smiles wider and nods back.
問題ないです
I force a smile and head outside. Ugh, this might be harder than I thought. I say to myself as I imagine all the possible awkward conversations to come. Well, let's see what we've got here. I take the first few steps away from the hotel, making a mental note of where this hotel is. This mental note will be useless. I'm going to get hopelessly lost. Just in case, I take out a pen and write the address on a notebook I have in my messenger bag. Satisfied that even if I get lost, I'll be able to make it back with the help of a taxi or something, I venture forward. I begin to walk around town, looking at all the different stores, shops, and businesses that line the streets. Half the stores have names in kanji, so I wouldn't even begin to figure out what they sell. Others seem to sell weird fishy food items, at least I think it's fish. But to be honest, I'd like a place to sit down and maybe have some food I recognize. After what feels like an eternity of wandering aimlessly, I finally come across a building almost tucked away in an alley that looks like a cafe. I let out a relieved sigh as I head towards the door. As I open it, I'm surprised to hear an old-timey door chime. Fuck me and my English. I take a look inside. Wow, it's really packed. I wouldn't have assumed that a cafe on a side alley like this would be so popular. To my surprise though, only a few moments after I walk in, I'm approached by what I assume to be a waiter.
Konbanwa.
I bow slightly. Konbanwa. I had looked up on how to say good evening literally 10 seconds before entering the cafe, as you should. The waiter holds up one finger.
Kyo wa hitori desu ka?
Unsure what the hell he just said, but with the finger, I assumed he means something like one person. I merely nod. The waiter nods back and looks around, scouring the tables. Nearly everyone seems to be full, however. Finally, though, a look of relief passes over his face as he notices a table in the corner. He then gestures for me to follow. Nodding, I follow him to the table. Yeah! It's she! I have been waiting for this for so long. I'm so happy right now. It's she! It's Kotone! As I approach the table, I realize the table already seems to have an occupant. The person sitting at the table appears to be a woman in her mid to late 20s. The green hair comes down to her neck and then goes out in a flip. The thing that almost makes me laugh though is the one long straight chunk of hair that sticks out in a curl. She seems to be lost in thought as she's writing something on a notebook at her seat. Sensing someone approaching, she glances up first at the waiter and then at me. As I look at her eyes, I notice that they're a vibrantly bright green. The waiter says something to her in Japanese that I can't hope to understand. After letting out a very audible sigh, she lets out a hi hi and waves him away. The waiter bows appreciatively and gestures for me to sit down. I do so, and he hands me a menu. Bowing, he walks away, leaving me alone with the woman. As I glance at the menu, I notice the woman is doing her best to go back to her writing. Every few seconds, though, I can't help but glance at her. I try my best to do so covertly so that she doesn't notice. After about the third time, though, I look back to her and notice she's staring directly at me, a look of irritation on her face. I flinch.
Nani? Watashi no kao ni nanika ga arimasu ka?
I stare at her blankly for a moment. She rolls her eyes as she places her pen down and crosses her arms on the table.
Let's try this another way. You speak English?
I nearly fall out of my chair from hearing this. Oh, yeah, I speak English. I didn't. She exhales audibly.
Oh, I figured as much. I guess I shouldn't have expected a foreigner to speak Japanese.
Well, I mean, I just got here literally today.
Oh, well that definitely explains it.
She looks back at me.
That doesn't answer my question, though. Why were you staring at me?
I shift uncomfortably. Oh, I was just...
I know, it's incredibly hard to look away from someone as beautiful as me.
She says as she moves her hand through her hair.
But you really shouldn't stare at girls so much. It's not polite. In Japan, you have to ask a girl permission to stare at them.
Wait, you do? Is that true? I mean, I don't know the customs of Japan. I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable or anything. After a few moments, she raises an eyebrow.
You just took that seriously?
Wait, what? To my surprise, she then picks up a straw and pokes me in the forehead with it.
Don't be so gullible.
Huh? Oh, she was joking, I guess.
So, Mr. Judging by your accent, I'm going to say American. What are you doing here?
Oh, yeah, I'm American. You can tell just by my accent. The woman smiles smugly.
What can I say? I'm just that amazing.
She pauses for a second.
Well, you don't seem like you're here for fun.
She says, eyeing over my business suit.
So I'm going to say you're here for a job. English teacher?
Once again, I'm shocked. Yeah, you're right. She leans her hand on her chin.
Of course I am.
How did you ever guess that? She turns her eyes back to mine and gives me a condescending look.
Well, if you were a big business guy, you'd be in Tokyo. For a town like this, I'd say teacher sounds about right. Besides...
She sits up, crossing her arms under her chest as she gives me a grin, her snaggletooth resting over her lip.
Your lack of Japanese gives it away.
I make an irritated noise, which she catches, and then proceeds to raise her hand to her face and laugh behind her hand softly. Is she seriously trying to piss me off? Because if she is, she's definitely getting there. Still, it's my first day. Better play it cool. I thought maybe I'd try something else. Oh, by the way, my name is Charlie. What's yours? She waves her hand dismissively.
I don't believe I asked for your name. So many men give me their name, I couldn't possibly give it out to all of them.
Oh, does that mean you get with a lot of men? The moment I say this, I realize how badly it sounds. Immediately, her face turns bright red as her entire composure changes. She stands up suddenly.
What are you asking?
She asks this louder than she probably should, as a few people turn to hear the noise.
Are you insinuating that I'm some kind of...
She leans on the table, her face now only about a foot away from mine. I put my hands up defensively. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it like that. She must see how pale my face is and my sincerity, as after a moment her face begins to return to normal. The woman then proceeds to sit down. She crosses her arms under her chest. She said, "Boy, you calling me? What you trying to call me? You're about to throw hands right now." I love her. An awkward moment passes. Great. First person you talk to in Japan in a real conversation, and you basically ask her if she sleeps around. Great job, Charlie. You're just making all kinds of friends. Look, I'm really, really sorry. I just got flustered and her head still turned sideways to me. She turns her eye back and sees me flailing. He lets out a sigh.
You know, normally that kind of talk would get you a drink poured on your head.
Yep, pretty much the same in America too. I answered defeated.
I'll let it slide. Just this once. If anything, I assume you meant to give me a compliment.
Full of yourself much? Of course I did. I answer reflexively. A moment of silence goes by before I feel a poke on my leg. Brandon! That new sound is so cute! What the fuck? Oh, my heart. Oh, that was so cute. It was so tiny! Oh god. I immediately turn back to the woman who seems to have gone back to her menu. I feel it again. Is she poking me in the leg? Ah, it's so cute! God, I love that new sound effect, dude! What the fuck? I look at her hands, which are both preoccupied with the menu. I feel like asking her, are you touching my leg? But considering the fiasco that just took place, I have a feeling the night might end with her actually pouring something on my head. I'll just ignore it. Ignore it. Come on, Charlie, ignore it. That's it, I can't take it. I duck my head under the table. Look at the boy! I have been waiting to see this boy again. Look at him! What I see nearly causes me to jump up. Poking me in the leg is the most adorable rabbit I've ever seen in my life. As I turn my head down to it, it merely tilts its own head directly at me with what I can only describe as a large smile on its face. It pokes me in the leg again, this time making a sub chew noise, as y'all just heard. It's so cute, the chew! I love it! I love this rabbit so much! I try to resist the lure of the adorable bunny, but I fail miserably. Without even thinking much about it, I reach down and pick up the rabbit. Oh my goodness, where did you come from? You are so cute. I know it's not the manliest thing ever, but I can't help it. I love rabbits. I always have ever since I was little when I used to have one named Mr. Stuffykins. However, the moment that I lift the rabbit up, the woman's face goes pale. She looks over at something on her seat and then immediately turns back to me.
Hey! Hey! Give me her!
As she says this, her tone changes drastically. It goes from an in-control, more adult voice to almost that of a child whose toy was taken away. She frantically looks side to side to make sure no one is watching. I look from her to the rabbit.
Yes! Yes! The rabbit! Please give her back to me!
I'm sorry! It's so cute! The request is even more frantic now. Oh, is she yours? She's adorable. As if the rabbit can hear me say this, it smiles at me, and I must have been imagining things, but I swear it slightly blushed. The girl, now beet red, is now frantically reaching across the table to grab the rabbit from my hands. Oh, right, sorry. I say this almost as if I were in a trance before slowly handing the rabbit over to the woman. The second I get within range, she snatches forward and grabs the rabbit. As soon as the rabbit is in her hands, she seems to calm down slightly. She then turns to the rabbit.
Uso, what have I told you about staying in the bag?
She asks in a chastising tone. I can't help but snicker at the scene. The woman turns her head back to me. Oh crap, I think she heard me.
It's not funny.
Right, sorry. I say, holding my hands up defensively. We must have caused quite a commotion as a few moments later, the waiter from earlier walks by. Unfortunately, the woman doesn't see him and is still holding the rabbit. The waiter, looking irritated, begins talking to her sternly. I can't understand the words they're saying, but it seems like he's not very happy with her bringing in the rabbit. I let the sweet irony of her being in trouble soak in for a moment. I'm really sorely tempted to leave her like this. But stupid me, I can't say no to a person in need. Quickly, I pull out my Japanese phrase book and look for the phrase I'm looking for. After about 10 seconds, I find out while they're still arguing. Sumimasen, I say loudly, more so than was probably necessary. This causes both of them to stop as they turn to me. Embarrassed, I repeat the phrase I just looked up. Kore wa watashi no usagi desu. Gomen. This is my rabbit, sorry. The two of them blink in unison as the waiter then turns back to the woman. He says something to her in Japanese. He turns her eyes back to me and then back to him before nodding once. He says simply. The waiter looks to me, lets out a sigh, and then turns back to her saying something else. Now, once again blushing, she turns back to me.
The waiter says, I know you probably don't know Japanese customs, but please don't bring animals into the restaurant.
Can you tell him that I'm sorry? I just came from America and she was scared from the trip and I didn't want to leave her alone. Tentatively, she turns back to the waiter and translates what I just said. The waiter looks back at me and nods. He says one more thing to the woman.
He says it's okay, just don't do it next time.
Oh, of course, I didn't know. Look at me lying my butt off. Mom would have been so proud. With a look of exasperation, the man takes our orders. The woman places an order in Japanese. I struggle just pointing to the item I want. Upon taking our orders, the waiter leaves. What follows is a long silence. The woman places the rabbit back in the bag as she continues to do her best to look away from me. Still looking at me sideways, she focuses one of her pupils on me.
I didn't ask you to do that.
She mumbles. I pause for a second. I'm sorry?
I said, I didn't ask you to do that.
Did a quick save. She said again, this time with less mumbling. You're welcome. I say incredulously. She makes it oh. Shit, we did it at the same time! Colton and I just at the same time. That is amazing. I'm I that's not what I was expecting when I was playing this, but you know, it happened. She makes a sound as she turns her head away from me again, this time a tinge of pink on her cheeks. We sit in awkward silence for a few minutes before the waiter comes back with our selection. I notice, however, that the woman is wrapped up in a bag.
Sorry, I'm taking mine to go.
She says in her best attempt at keeping her composure. She stands up from the table. Before she leaves, she hands the waiter some money and says something to him in Japanese. The waiter nods and then, taking the money, walks away. The woman hitches the bag containing the rabbit on her shoulder. Well, that's a fine way to thank someone. Give them the cold shoulder and then just leave. She walks past me only to stop a few steps away. I said something was inside her made her stop. Still standing there, the woman says a single word.
Kotone.
Huh? I ask, incredibly confused. She sighs lightly.
You asked my name, stupid. It's Kotone.
And before I can even say anything else, the woman who just labeled herself as Kotone exits the cafe for real. As soon as this sinks in, I can't help but smirk as I pick up my cup of coffee and take a small sip. After about 20 minutes, I finish my light snack and coffee. Once I'm done, I try to get the waiter's attention. I silently raise my hand at first, but that doesn't seem to work. What am I doing wrong? Looking around the room, I see several other people doing the same, but also adding aloud, Sumimasen. Well, when in Rome, or Japan. I raise my hand tentatively. Sumimasen, I say loudly. A few moments later, the waiter returns.
Owarimasu ka?
Hi. I say extremely unsure. The waiter nods and then proceeds to take my plate. Suddenly I reach into my pocket for my wallet. Before I can, however, he puts his free hand out towards me. Gonna save here.
大丈夫です。彼女は支払いました。
Once again, try to reach for my wallet, confused. He puts his hand out again. He then gestures to the door.
女
He says again. I tilt my head in confusion as I quickly pull out my Japanese phrase book. I flip to the word onna. Apparently translates to woman. Suddenly it clicks. Oh my god, he's saying that she paid for me. I can't help but feel a bit of warmth go through me. Huh. Maybe she isn't all bad after all. I flip to another page in the book. Wakarimasu. Hearing this, the waiter smiles and bows to me. I give a slight bow back. Gathering my things, I stand up and walk towards the front door. I like that this is helping me practice my pronunciation of Japanese. God, cannot get over this game. It's so good. More people need to be playing this shit. I exhale as I step out into the street. I try to get my bearings and remember the way I came. And it works out exactly as well as I thought it would. Luckily, I'm able to hail a taxi and show him the address I copied down. Within a minute, I'm back to my hotel. After paying the driver, I take the walk of shame to my hotel room. Like, damn, I lost my way. As soon as I get back to the hotel room, Even though it's still bright out, I start to feel a bit tired. Not as exhausted as I probably should be, but enough I can head for bed. Well, tomorrow's my first day at training. Hopefully it won't be a crash and burn experience. Hopefully.
Gaikokujin no Sensei.
Commercial break. I take a deep sigh as I stare at the looming school in front of me. I can't believe it's my first day of teaching already. I say out loud even though there's nobody around. That week of training went by so fast that I blinked and I missed it. I thought I'd get more of a chance to practice teaching, but, well, no such luck. It definitely seems to be more of a throw you in and hope you swim kind of job. Hitching up my messenger bag, I make my way towards the front door. As I head towards the door, I see a myriad of students making their way to the entrance of the school as well. A few are on their cell phones, but most seem to be talking to each other. And it isn't lost on me that a large chunk of them are glancing towards me and then looking back and giggling or laughing. I feel my cheeks burn slightly as I walk inside. With trepidation, I walk up to the receptionist. Holy shit, I actually said that without fucking up the pronunciation. Let's go. She spots me nearly immediately. She turns to me and smiles.
Sensei, ohayo gozaimasu.
I remember from training they taught us a few useful Japanese phrases. Apparently, ohayo gozaimasu means good morning. I repeat the phrase back to her with a forced smile. Ohayo gozaimasu. She nods and puts up her hand.
Shoto mate kudasai.
I nod and pretend to understand what she just said. She picks up the phone and says something in Japanese. As it seems to be taking a few moments, my eyes wander as I glance at my surroundings. I notice there to be a lot of shoe lockers where students are currently changing their shoes from their outside shoes to their school ones. When I see this, the realization hits me. Oh crap, I should be doing the same thing. I glance back to the woman who's still on the phone. Taking a few steps back, I look for an empty shoe locker and take off my dress shoes. Reaching into my bag, I pull out a pair of sneakers I had kept in there. I slid on my sneakers and put the dress shoes in the cabinet. After doing so, I make my way over towards the receptionist. This is so weird. I mutter to myself as I look at my fully suited up self, the ensemble now complete with bright sneakers. It seems to be good timing though, as at that moment a man arrives from down the stairs. I remember him from a quick introduction the company had with me a while ago that this was the vice principal of the school. He's an older man, but seems to have a calm yet warm air about him.
Ohayo gozaimasu, Sensei. O genki desu ka?
Once again, I'm so very thankful for my training class for at least teaching me those two phrases. Ohayo, genki desu. Morning, I'm fine. I think for a moment. Nata wa? And you? I ask, completely unsure of myself. He smiles back at me.
Hai, genki. Haitte kurusai.
He says as he gestures for me to follow him. Nervously, I do so. As I follow him, I notice several students in the hallway glancing at me and giggling, saying things in Japanese to each other just as they had when I first walked in. Upon reaching a doorway, the principal stops. He then motions for me to enter. Slightly shaking, I nod and step into the room. Once I step inside, I notice a large collection of teachers and staff all either walking around looking incredibly busy with papers in their hands or sitting at their desks frantically writing. I'm motioned by the principal to an empty desk which has my name on it. I tentatively move over and take a seat. Woo! Damn, that was clean. As soon as I get to my seat, the sound of a bell permeates throughout the school. Once the sound subsides, a man at the front of the room says a word in Japanese. Immediately after, every single teacher in the room stands up and bows. Confused, I frantically stand up and follow suit.
Ohayo gozaimasu.
They all say basically in unison. I don't even attempt to say it though, because by the point I would say anything, it would be far too late. Embarrassed, I sit down as everyone else does the same. The man at the front of the room continues to talk loudly, throwing out all sorts of Japanese that all basically sounds like gibberish to me. It gets to the point where I start to zone out. However, this proves to be a bad idea as the man then turns to me.
Sensei, shugoshu ga onegaishimasu.
Huh? No, I don't understand that. Hearing my name, I jerk my head up and turn towards the front. Some color drains from my face as I realize everyone in the room is now looking at me. True, I was warned during training they would want me to do an introduction, but still, until you do it, you never realize just how nerve-wracking it is. As if my feet were made of lead, I make my way towards the front of the room. I try to remember the words I had practiced so many times the night before. I'm about to write some shit down too. I feel as if I'm marching to my death, and there's so many faces staring at me. After the eternity that is the walk, I eventually make it to the front. I take one quick look around the room. It seems that every pair of eyes is staring directly at me. A sharp inhale later, I begin. Ohayo gozaimasu. Watashi wa Shirley desu. I pause for a moment as I think. Amerikajin desu. I am American. Watashi no Nihongo ha warui desu. My Japanese is bad. Demo, but I struggle to remember the words I have practiced. Yatteimasu. I am trying. Yoroshiku. Onegai shimasu. Please treat me well. I quickly bow after this. I really hope I didn't fuck up any of that pronunciation, because my god. That would be really bad. I hope to god that wasn't too horrible. To my surprise, I hear applause coming from the teachers. I dare to look back up to see them smiling at me. My heart's beating 1,000 beats a second as I slowly stand back up. Staring myself without a small smile, I make my way back to my seat. My cheeks are still burning hot as I finally make it. I'm not sure why, but that was the most embarrassing thing I've ever done in my life. The day has only just begun and I feel like I need a nap. Luckily for me, now that I have finished my terrible introduction, it seems that everyone's attention is now back to the front of the room. The vice principal talks for a while and I of course have absolutely no idea what he's saying. While he's talking, I pick up my daily schedule and take a look. It seems that I don't have any classes today. All that's really scheduled seems to be the opening ceremony assembly. As the vice principal finishes, everyone seems to be gathering themselves up and heading towards the door. Shoot, we're already having the assembly? Quickly, I stand back up and follow everyone to the auditorium. God, I hope I'm not fucking up the Japanese pronunciations. That would be so bad. I can already hear the mockery. And it's exactly as boring as I'd expect. Of course, the entire thing is in Japanese, so I understand approximately 0% of what he just said. I have the strong urge to start dozing off, but realize just how bad that would look on my first day. So I do my best to pretend I'm understanding what he's saying, all while standing in the back of the auditorium with the other teachers. Mercifully, the assembly ends with everyone applauding and the students filing out of the auditorium. Quickly before the students can turn around and see me, I head back towards the teacher's room. The last thing I want is to stand there awkwardly and have every single student in the school staring at me as I walk by. Luckily, I make it to the office and ahead of the crowd. I excel as I sit down. I glance up at the clock. 10:30. My schedule says that I don't leave until 4:30. Well, great. That means I have 6 more hours until I can go home. What the hell am I supposed to do for 6 hours? I think this to myself as the rest of the teachers file in. After a few minutes, nearly all of them gather some items and head back out. Luckily for me, there seems to be a computer at my desk. It is an old junky laptop, but hey, at least I can maybe look up some lesson ideas or something. Booting up the computer, I start to move around on the internet looking at ideas for upcoming lessons, but also tips and tricks for teaching kids. There seem to be a few sites that are really helpful. I marked some ideas down on my notebook. Pretty soon I filled up 2 pages. Soon enough though, my eyes are starting to get tired. I rub my eyes and look at the clock. 11:30. Are you kidding me? It's only been an hour? Oh my god, this first day is gonna kill me. I just know it! There has to be something else to do. I close the laptop down and look around. Huh. I wonder if it would be alright to just take a look around the school. I mean, it couldn't hurt to just walk around, right? It's not like I'm going to go into the classrooms or anything. Yeah, that should kill some time at least. With new determination, I stand up and take a few steps out into the hallway. As I begin my walk into the hallway, I realize that my worries of walking into a student are unfounded, as everyone seems to be in class. I place my hands behind my back and begin to walk. I pass a few different rooms as I make my way through the hall. Several of them have students in them, talking to each other or listening to a teacher. It all seems a bit dull. Of course, it's a school. What did I expect? I continued my impromptu tour of the school before I eventually reached a door at the end of the hallway. Luckily for me, the door seems to have windows inside of it. They're not very big, but I can at least look through. As I peer inside, I see quite clearly that it's a gymnasium. Oh, here we go! Oh, neat. I peer inside further. There doesn't seem to be anyone inside. Determined to continue my journey, I open the door to the gym. I step inside and begin to look around. Almost instantly, I hear a voice scream at me.
Ah! Kiyotsukite! Abenai!
Hearing a strange voice yelling causes me to whip my head around towards the direction it came from. This turns out to be a mistake as I immediately feel something smash into my face. With no grace or elegance whatsoever, I go down hard.
Ah, gomenne. Daijoubu?
The voice is frantically asking as I hear it moving closer to me. Still a bit woozy, I slowly start to move my hand to my face. As feeling starts to return to my head, I slowly start to sit up. By the time I do, I'm greeted with a face staring worriedly down at me.
Gomen! Hontou ni gomennasai!
The voice is saying to me frantically. Not sure of how to say I'm okay in Japanese, I merely start to rub my face. Through my fingers, I can get a better look at the woman. She seems to be in her late 20s and is a spitting image of a gym teacher. Wearing the stereotypical clothes, short hair, and definitely more of a svelte figure. Svelte A? Fuck me, I can't. I suck. Wait, why am I thinking about that kind of thing now? The teacher seems to be throwing out a string of apologetic Japanese that I don't understand even slightly. Finally, I move my hand away from my face. As soon as I do, the woman starts apologizing as her eyes go wide and a look of shock replaces the near tears of her previous one.
Ego... Sensei?
She says slowly as she finally realizes who she just beamed in the face. I glanced to my side to see that a basketball was indeed the weapon that so callously careened into my face.
I am so sorry.
I actually gotta save. It's been a while since I saved. The woman suddenly says quickly, No, it's fine. I say without thinking as I wave my hands up and down. I stopped myself for a moment. Wait, did you just speak English? The woman, still sounding nervous, puts a hand to her chest.
That's not important. Are you okay?
She asks, touchingly concerned. Yeah, I'll be okay. Really, you don't have to worry so much. A bit of color returns to her cheeks as she exhales. Her expression is then replaced with a soft smile as she extends her hand to me. I smile back and put my hand in hers. I'm not ready to be yanked up as fast as she pulls me up. Whoa, hey, she's pretty strong. Thanks, I say, wiping the dirt off my back. She nods slightly as she doesn't respond. So, you know my name, but I can't say I know yours. She turns back to be confused.
Oh, right, well... It's hard to miss you.
She seems to think that sounds awkward as she speaks again, flailing her hands in front of her face.
Oh, I didn't mean that in a bad way. You know, like a racist way. I just mean... Oh no.
God, I love this woman. She's so awesome. I love Makiko. She says as she puts her hands on her face, which is now beet red. I can't help but laugh slightly. It's okay. What's your name? The question seems to break her out of her stupor.
Huh? Oh! Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. My name is Makiko Yuzue. But please, call me Makiko. In Japan, you would call me Yuzue-san. But last names I always feel are way too formal.
Oh, sure, Makiko. As I call her by her first name, she blushes slightly. The hell? She was the one to ask me to call her that. Rather than keep the awkward going, I decide to speak again. So your English is really good. She turns back to me with a surprised look on her face.
Oh, you think so?
I nod. Well, yeah, from what I can tell, it's pretty flawless. She puts her finger to her chin.
Well, I did study English pretty intensely in college.
Oh, really? Why? She looks back at me.
Why?
Makiko seems to stop and think for a moment.
So, how are you liking your first day here?
Wow, expert dodge there. Oh well, it's obviously a sensitive topic. I shouldn't push. Well, I mean, it's a little overwhelming. There's a lot of Japanese.
Oh, that's right! You said your Japanese wasn't very good in your introduction, right?
She remembers. I nod.
Well, I thought it sounded alright.
She slaps me on the back. I cringe as it nearly knocks the wind out of me. I cough.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I was just excited and... Oh my goodness, I'm sorry.
She practically flails her hands again. I don't know what it is about in this situation, but I start to laugh. Akiko looks at me confused. I'm sorry, that looked really funny. She puffs her cheeks and she furrows her brow. Then exhales and puts on a smile.
I guess I deserve that.
She then starts to giggle. As the both of us are laughing, I hear a door open behind us. Ah, Yusei Sensei. The voice stops halfway through. Wait. Oh! I turn my head back to see a pair of middle school girls. Oh, Eigo Sensei, come in! The two girls smirk and then turn back to Makiko. Yusei Sensei, gomenasai. Tadashi Eigo no Sensei to futarikiri ni narita... Oh my god. I choked on air! How do I choke on air? Futarikiri ni narita katan desu ne. I fucked that up. For some reason, Makiko's face turns bright red upon hearing this. She clenches her fist tightly and raises her voice. At the rate she's screaming and flailing, I'm worried she might overheat herself and pass out. The two girls look from her to me, looking horribly confused and merely giggle. Finally, it seems that Makiko has had enough and walks over towards the two girls and begins to push them out the door.
Hi. Omoshirokata desu ne. Ja, dette kinasai.
The girls continue to giggle as she does so, but they are eventually led out of the room. Once she's satisfied that they're gone, she turns back to me.
Sorry about that.
Is everything alright? She blushes again as she waves her hand up and down.
Oh yeah, everything's fine. Everything's fine.
Oh, okay. Oh, something comes to mind. I say the oh so suddenly though that it catches her off guard and she shoots up surprised. Oh, sorry, I just had a question. I reach into my pocket and pull out a piece of paper. I'm supposed to go to this building to get my paperwork done for moving in, but I have no idea how to get there. Supposedly I can take a bus. Do you know how to get there? Seemingly glad that the subject has changed, she walks over to me to... Who the fuck is honking on my damn window? Fuck out of here. Seriously, what the fuck? She walks over to me to take the paper from my hand.
Oh, of course.
She says happily as she takes out a pen from a clipboard she had resting on the floor. As she begins to write, she sticks her tongue out as if she were concentrating very hard.
And there we go.
She says, handing me back the paper, now with notes on it. I give her a small back. Oh, thanks a lot, I say as I give what she wrote a once over.
Don't mention it.
She says, putting her hands on her hips in pride. There's a short silence before Makiko speaks again.
Right. Well, I have to get back to setting up the gym. I was merely taking a bit of a break when you came in.
I put my hand out. Right. Gotcha. Say no more. I'll let you get back to work. I'll see you around, okay? Makiko smiles warmly.
Yeah, I'd like that.
Giving her a small back, I wave and take my leave. Well, that worked out at least. I mean, I got beamed in the face with the ball, but at least I got directions. At least I have a plan. Alright, tonight I'm heading out to get this stupid town paperwork done.
Gaikokujin no Sensei!
Woo! Do. Commercial break! Well, I'm standing at the bus stop. At least I was able to find that without getting lost. The bus pulls up to my stop and I look upwards at the bus number on the sign. I look at the paper one more time and then to the bus. Yeah, this seems to be the right one, at least according to Makiko. As the door opens, I inhale sharply as I step in, dropping the necessary yen into the box. Looking around the seats, I notice very quickly that the bus seems to have hardly anybody on it. I can't exactly say that's a surprise. It is past sunset, and I'm sure not many people are headed to town hall or whatever they call it at this time of day. I'm surprised at just how nice the seats are when I sit down. Nothing like the harder metal seats of the buses in America. And to my surprise, there's no signs of tears, graffiti, or chewing gum. Man, they keep their buses nice here. As the drive begins, I try to turn my head out the window to see the scenery. Unfortunately, as the sun has nearly completely gone for the day at this point, I give up on that idea and focus on counting the stops. I checked the paper Makiko wrote down that it was 12 stops exactly. I certainly hope she's right. After a few stops, I noticed the remaining people starting to file out of the bus, until eventually it's only me and a single old lady. I count the stops as they go. 7, 8, 9. I get more anxious with each one, hoping I don't miss it. If I did, I would honestly have no idea what to do. Finally, I count 12 stops. I press the button to get off. The driver slows down and pulls over. Grabbing my messenger bag, I thank the bus driver with the badly pronounced arigato and stepped off the bus. Whoa, here we go! Woo, baby! The moment I step off the bus, I feel my stomach sink. The stop seems to be a little bus stop on the side of the road, and in every other direction, nothing but forest. I take a moment to get my bearings, but before I can even turn around to get back on the bus, I hear the sound of the driver pulling away. Oh crap! This is definitely not the right stop. Did Makiko give me the wrong directions? No, I'm sure I did something wrong. That makes more sense. I take a quick look around. Luckily for me, the moon seems to be out, so it's not completely dark. With the aid of the light of the moon, I can see the bus stop on the opposite side of the street. I jaunt across the small road and take a look at the timetable posted on the sign. I can feel the color drain from my face as I do. 2 hours. The next bus doesn't arrive for 2 hours. I can't help but start to laugh at myself. It's either that or freak out, and apparently my body decided laughter was the best option. A few moments later, I managed to compose myself as I try to think of what to do next. Okay. So let's see. The bus is a pretty straight line, so if I walk back, I should be able to catch another one faster. I mumbled this to myself. I let out a long, drawn-out sigh. Okay, here we go. Hitching up my bag, I turn around and begin to walk back the way I came. And here's where I started. Thinking about all the things that led me to this moment have at least passed some of the time. Unfortunately, it's been doing nothing to help my exhaustion from this long walk. Okay, this is a very bad idea. I've been walking for about 35 minutes, and at this point my legs are starting to feel a bit wobbly. Holy crap, I have to start working out. Every additional step I take feels like I'm wearing lead shoes. Come on, feet. Keep moving. They're doing their very best to ignore my commands. Struggling, I lift another foot. I bring it down with purpose. I found myself smirk slightly. Alright, fight through the pain. You can do this, just... And that's when my foot misses the pavement. Stepping on the hilly side, I completely lose my footing and go tumbling down the side of the hill. I try to reach out onto something and catch myself, but it's to no avail as I go careening, head over heels, down the hill. Finally I stop, or should I say, something stops me. I feel the pain in my spine as my ears ring from a loud crash. I hear a snap as well, and hope to God it wasn't one of my bones. Now that I've stopped, I tentatively try to move a different part of my body. Arms, check. Legs, check. I move different parts of my body. Oh shit. That wasn't me. I feel relieved that nothing seems to be broken. Thank heavens for small miracles. I rub my head gingerly as I sit up. Still feeling a bit woozy, I reach my hand out and grab the object nearest to me. I'm a bit surprised to feel the object supporting me feels rather smooth. Upon pulling myself up, I take a look at the object. At first, it looks like some kind of ornate birdhouse. It's completely covered in vines and it looks like it hasn't been touched in years. I make a noise with my mouth. It's sad seeing people let things like this go into disrepair. Seeing as there is nobody around, I decided to help out this poor birdhouse-like thing. Reaching over, I began to pull off the vines from it. Quickly, I soon realized that this thing isn't a birdhouse. Oh, right. I think I saw one of these at a travel book on Japan. I think they call these things shrines or something. I almost have all the vines peeled off. There only seems to be one left that's located on what appears to be the doors of the tiny shrine. I pull. Nothing happens. Oh, come on. I yank harder. Nothing happens. Oh, no you don't. This might be one of the worst nights of my life, and I'm at least not going to be defeated by a stupid vine. I angrily pull with all of my might. Then, as if someone cut a rope, the vine snaps and I go flying backwards, the remnants of the vine still in my hand. My back crashes against the tree with a loud thwack. Oh man, I'm gonna need a chiropractor after this. Slowly I open my eyes and I rub my now very sore back. As I do, I notice the doors on the small shrine are now completely vine-free. Well, that looks better. Before I can even take a moment to feel proud of my work, the small doors shoot open on their own. I stand up quickly in shock. Timidly, I turn my attention to the doors. The hell? Before I can say anything else, a blinding light emits from the tiny doors, directly into my eyes. Instinctively, I cover my eyes and duck behind the tree I'm standing in front of. After a few moments, the light dissipates, leaving the scene once again only illuminated by the moonlight. Convinced the light show is over, I rub my eyes gingerly. Ugh, what the crap was that? I ask out loud, waiting for the spots in my eyes to disappear.
どうもしすべきもの。今日はあなたは良好であります。神様があなたに微笑んでくれました。それゆえ、理解さえできない脅威を経験します。
I barely understand a fraction of that, but you know what? In my defense, I'm a baby Japanese learner. The whole point of the Japanese all around you is to make you feel like you are an American just slapped in Japan. So of course, if you or I were just, tossed to Japan, we're not gonna know what the fuck they're saying. This is the most realistic MC, American MC slapped in Japan that I've ever seen in any game or anime.
我が合流の話はあなたの国で末永く続きます。
Yes? A voice seemingly out of nowhere begins to speak a long string of Japanese, all of which I have no idea what she's saying. Wait, is someone else here in the woods with me? Why would someone be here too? Mustering up my courage, I peek my head around the corner of the tree. As I do so, I'm greeted by the sight of a woman. She seems to be sitting on top of the small shrine that I had just ripped the vines off of. Was that shrine just big enough to support the weight of a human? Wait, that's not the question I should be asking myself. The woman appears to be wearing a long Japanese dress. I think they're called kimonos. Her features appear to be more mature in nature. The top part of her outfit leaves little to the imagination, as she definitely seems to be more endowed in some places than I've seen since coming to this country. The thing that by far confuses me the most, though, are the fox ears sticking out of her head and the long bushy tail coming out of her back. I rub my eyes once again to make sure that the light didn't start causing me to hallucinate. I look back. Nope, she's still there. That's a weird costume. Maybe there's a festival going on around here or something? All the while this is going on, the woman is still going on with her monologue, looking in every direction except for mine. Finally, I gulp and tentatively take a few steps forward. As I gingerly take a few steps forward, I notice that the woman is still talking to seemingly no one in particular, as if she's performing a theatrical monologue she's been practicing for weeks.
私たちの運命はつながっています。選ばれたあなたと精霊の私。出会いが永遠に忘れられない不運の恋人の物語。
Finally, after what seems like an eternity of incomprehensible dialogue, her golden eyes turn to me. And as they do, her mouth freezes in mid-word. Gingerly, I wave my hand towards her. Hi. Her face like, the fuck, bitch, you interrupted! I say so quietly, I'm not even sure that she hears me.
Gaikokujin?
She replies nearly as quietly. Color quickly drains from her face. She shakily raises a finger towards me.
あなたは外国人ですか?
Confused, I scratch my head. Oh, right, my book. I quickly think to myself as I reach into my pocket. Pulling out the book, I flip through the pages. Gaikokujin. Ah, here it is. Oh, foreigner. I turn back to her. Hi. I reply simply. I love that one-line dialogue. Hi. As the word exits my mouth, I see her shoulders slump as it seems that all the air deflates out of her. I am so confused right now. As I look back towards her, I reach my arm out. Hey, are you okay? Before my hand can reach her, though, she immediately drops down behind the shrine. I can still see her form behind the shrine as she's crouched down holding her head.
いや、不可能です。選ばれた人が彼ってこと？きっと神様が間違っています。はい、そうですね。神様に伺ったら、きっとこの誤解を説明します。
Right, I'm just going to go that way. Even though she's not looking at me, I say this out loud regardless, pointing my thumb back towards the street. Leaving her behind to do whatever, I make my way back towards the street. Oh god, I remember what's about to happen to me. I don't know whether I was still in shock or whatever, but random girls in fox costumes showing up out of nowhere should be throwing me for more of a loop than I am. But maybe my head is still rattling from the fall. After about 5 seconds of walking, suddenly from behind me, I hear a loud electrical zap. Quickly, I whip back around and see a light coming from behind the shrine. Accompanying the light, which is far more frightening, is a scream. Did that girl just get struck by lightning? I quickly turn my eyes to the sky. No, not a single cloud. What the hell is going on? Against all better judgment, I rush back towards the woman. Hey, are you okay? I ask concerned and loudly. Upon reaching the shrine, I whip myself around it to see the woman, and other than now having slightly singed kimono and some blemishes on her face, appears to be alright. I repeat myself. Hey, are you okay? This time her eyelids start to flutter as slowly they open.
どうしたの？
As she looks up at me, I notice a twinge of red starts to appear in her cheeks. Suddenly, as if breaking out of a trance, she bolts upright and looks at me, staring me straight in the eyes as she puffs out her cheeks.
こら、なんでそんなことしたの？すごく失礼ですよ。
Seeing her proudly chastise me, I can't help but laugh. Does she think I was the one who just shocked her? As I laugh, this apparently makes her more infuriated as she begins to shiver with irritation. As quickly as she starts, however, she stops. Suddenly her eyes go wide.
でも、それって。
She then looks up at the sky.
まあ、こうしかいけないなら。
Exhaling an audible sigh, she then turns back to me. Nearly in an instant, her entire disposition changes. Her gaze softens, her posture adjusts, and I could swear her smell changes slightly too.
今のはごめんなさい。ただ、びっくりしました。あなたに得られました名誉は人類初です。今日は神様はあなたに微笑んでますね。今日は私と一つになって走行渡航圏の時代を生み出します。
She's getting closer and closer to me. Her kimono opens slightly at the top, revealing deep cleavage, but she doesn't seem to mind. I chuckle nervously as that's the only thing I could think to do as I'm so confused. Suddenly, I nearly dropped the thing I was holding in my hand. Oh, right! Quickly, I put the book in between us, which seems to shock her. I flip through the book until I find the page. I clear my throat. Nihongo ni hanashimasen. I don't speak Japanese. Her face a bitch! Suddenly she freezes as if she were made of stone, and a cold wind blows through the trees almost to a comical effect.
あなたは日本語に話しませんか?
She asks as if making sure she heard correctly. Since she was using the words I just said, I assumed she was making sure she heard me correctly. I nod once. Her face becomes extremely flushed at this point as beads of sweat start falling down from the top of her face, and her eyes start to almost swirl. As if she were clinging to a life preserver, she grabs onto my shoulders.
あなたは日本語が話せないとはどういう意味ですか?
I stare at her confused. Seeing my abject confusion, she lets go of me and turns back around, holding her head.
嘘ですよね。嘘ですよね。
She mumbles to herself as she holds her head. Are you okay? Did your head hurt? Trying to regain her composure, she turns back to me after taking a deep inhale.
エッチしたい。
Her voice once again changes as she asks me this. This time it's far more sultry as she begins to pull the sides of her kimono down. Is she like trying to seduce me or something? No, this is way too weird. I don't know exactly what her game is, but I'm sure as hell not going to play it. Seeing my look of astonishment, she places the small back on her face, lowering her kimono even further to the point where I am starting to get more than just a little show. She then stops and begins to move behind the shrine, gesturing for me to follow her. I've seen way too many horror movies to know where this is going. As soon as she's out of range, I turn around and make a sprint towards the street. I don't even bother to look behind me to see the look on her face, but I can only imagine it's probably hilarious. But then in a few moments, I hear another loud crash. The light that emanated from it was so bright that I could see it in front of me despite it coming from behind. I began to slow my pace until finally I dare look behind me. There, about 30 feet behind me, is the woman lying face first on the ground, her arm outstretched to me, her clothes even more covered in scorch marks than before. I look back and forth. No one else seems to be ready to jump at me from the shadows, at least that I could tell. I know it's stupid, but maybe this time she's really hurt. I can't believe this girl got hit by lightning twice in a row. Isn't that mathematically impossible? I take a few tense steps forward. Doesn't seem to be moving as I make my way closer. Acting as if she were a trap about to snap, I slowly, very slowly, edge towards the woman. I slowly nudge her with my toe. No response. I inhale slightly and bend down. Hey, you? Okay. Before I can even finish my question, the woman pops back up as if spring-loaded and grabs me by the collar. Whoa, hey! This time, though, her face seems more determined, biting her lower lip in frustration.
やりたい。
I merely stare at her in confusion. I swear I could almost see a vein start to form on her head. She releases me and puts her hands on her hips. She then points to me.
あなた
She points at herself.
私
She then makes a circle with her left hand and sticks out her pointer finger with her right. She's move the finger in and out of the circle.
成功
I hit my open palm with my hand in an aha moment. Oh, she wants to sleep with me. Wait, she wants to sleep with me. I quickly pull out my Japanese phrase book and flip through it like a madman. I look from the book to her. Wakarimasu, I understand. Hearing this word come from out of my mouth, the woman sighs deeply in relief. Before she can say anything else, though, I speak first. Demo, yeah, keiko desu. But no, thank you. The woman's really smile is replaced with a look of confusion. I think this is my favorite facial expression of hers. It's just... it's meme material. Absolute meme material. She asks, this time looking at me as if she didn't hear me correctly. Huh. Maybe my accent was off? I look at the book again. Yeah, keiko desu. I say, this time making sure I got the correct pronunciation down. The woman blinks a few more times.
いえ、結構です。
She repeats my words as if she had never heard them before. Was my Japanese really that bad? I mean, probably, but still. Right. Well, I mean, you probably don't understand me, but, I'm gonna get going. I have to get home. I gesture towards the street. Good luck with, well, whatever you're doing. Finishing this, I give her a wave and turn around and head back towards the street. I barely make it a few steps before I hear a voice behind me.
ちょっと待って。
I look behind me and this time see the woman following me, her cheeks puffed in irritation.
とはどういう意味ですか
I imagine that it's along the lines of, what the fuck do you mean no? What the fuck do you mean no thank you? I sigh with irritation and keep walking towards the street. She tries to grab my arm, but this time I don't even look back and shrug it off. Thankfully, in a few moments, I'm able to make it back to the road. As I look both ways, something glistens to my right down the road, catching my eye. I feel like I'm going to shed a tear with happiness as I spy the reflective glass panel of a bus stop. Oh, thank God. I say as I make a run towards the bus stop. This seems to be very fortuitous timing, as just as I make it to the bus stop, I can see the headlights of an approaching bus. I look backwards frantically to see if the woman is still following me, but to my great relief, she no longer seems to be there. I let out a deep sigh as the bus pulls up and stops. I don't think I've ever been so happy to see a bus driver in my life. I give him a wide smile as I drop the money into the slot. Arigato! I say more than a little enthusiastically as I hop on and find a seat in the back of the bus. Now safe inside the bus, headed home, I pant heavily. Man, I'm more exhausted from my little adventure than I realized. I pull on my shirt collar, loosening my tie slightly. I close my eyes and let the sound of the bus take me away.
ああ、どこに行きます？
A voice next to me says. Thinking they have to be speaking to someone else, I ignore it. Wait a second. I recognize that voice. My eyes shoot open as, sure enough, the woman is seated next to me, staring right at me. What? I scream unintentionally as I fly 3 seats to the left. This is so sudden it almost causes the bus driver to swerve. Concerned sounding, the bus driver says something in Japanese. Looking back to the bus driver, I quickly pull out my translation book. Gomen, daijoubu. Sorry, I'm fine. Seemingly satisfied with this, the driver turns back. What are you doing here? I ask her in a loud whisper. She stares at me blankly, obviously not understanding a word I'm saying. I slap my hand to my forehead and slide it down along my face. I pull up my book again. Naze anata wa koko ni imasu ka? Why are you here? I have a bit of trouble with this phrase, but I think she gets the overall point. She looks at me with a soft smile and suddenly grabs onto my arm.
どこにも連れてきますhoney.
10 minutes and she's already calling you honey. Oh god. Yeah, that's what sounds like an awful lot like honey at the end. I do my best to move my arm out of her grip, but there's not a lot of room to move. Having completely given up at this point, I merely sit there and let her hold my arm for the duration of the trip. Your arm was taken captive. After what seems like an eternity, we approached the station which I had originally left from. Upon reaching the station, I began to stand up. Seeing this, the woman next to me begins to move as well. As I walk forward towards the front of the bus, she releases my arm. Stepping off, I look behind me expecting to see her, but to my surprise, she's no longer there. Feeling relieved, I take a few steps away from the bus. However, my relief is short-lived. Once the bus pulls away, she once again appears to my left. Tired and extremely defeated, I begin my walk home, trying my best to create some distance between me and her. The entire walk home, I keep looking over my shoulder to see if the woman is still there. And every time I do, she is still behind me, looking at everything that we pass by in town with awe. If I weren't so worried at the moment, it might have been kind of cute. When I'm about a few blocks from my apartment, I turn back to her. Look, I know you can't understand me, but I'm absolutely not going to sleep with you, so, you know, you can go. I move my hand in a shooing motion. Strangely enough, this seems to make her smile as she moves closer to me. The hell? What? No, I said shoo! I make the motion again, still doesn't seem to be working. I can feel the veins start to grow on my forehead. The hell is this, opposite day? With great irritation, I trudge towards my apartment. Upon reaching the door, I turn back to her. I dig into my pocket and pull out my book. Flipping through the pages, I find what I need and read the passage quietly to myself. I inhale as I put the book down to look at her. Watashi wa chi ni haite imasu. Anata wa denakereba naranai. Narani. Why does it need an I? I'm going inside. You have to leave. Even though my Japanese pronunciation and grammar is terrible, I'm pretty sure she got the message as she puffed out her cheeks in irritation. Turning back to the door, I reach into my pocket for the key. As I do so, I look backwards one more time. This time, I'm surprised to see that the woman is now gone. My eyes grow larger as I look around. I move my head around the corner, looking everywhere a person could possibly hide. Nothing. Oh god, I just got a thunderstorm warning. Goody, I might lose like power for a second. Alright, guess that's as much of a heads up as I'm gonna get that I might lose power because thunderstorm. That wasn't me. I let out an appreciative sigh. Thank God, she must have finally gotten the message. I say to myself, allowing a small smile to cross my face. Using the key, I put it in the lock and turn it. As I begin to undo my tie, I open the door with my free hand. As I do, I hear a voice.
おかえりなさい.
Hearing this voice, I freeze in mid-pose. Looking dead ahead, sitting on her legs is the woman looking up at me with a smile. I immediately look behind me into the open doorway, and then back to her. What the? How did? I can't even formulate the proper words at this point.
おかえりなさい。あなた、ご飯を食べる？お風呂にする？それとも、私？
As she says the 3 last syllables, she begins to pull down the front of her kimono seductively. I can feel my eye begin to twitch in frustration. That's it. I've had enough. I seriously can't deal at this point. Slowly, I take a few steps towards her. Placing down my bag, I reach down and pick up the woman bridal style.
あら、強いですね。どこに連れて行くのでしょうか？
Even if I could understand what she was saying, I would ignore it. I can guess the general gist anyway. As I pass through the doorway, I place her outside of my apartment and shut the door, leaving her outside. Stepping back inside my apartment, I rub my hair with my hand. Jesus, what is wrong with some people? Picking up my bag, I take a few steps into my bedroom.
ベッドに来て、ハニー。
There, laying on my bed, her kimono half off, is the woman. I freeze where I stand, my mouth agape. What the? Is this lady a freaking ghost or something? I quickly try to regain control of the situation. I pick my book bag out and look for a word. Finding the word, I put the book back in my pocket. I cough into my hand. I point to the front door. Saru, leave! Suddenly, and without warning, tears begin to fill the woman's eyes. She moves into a different pose, supporting her weight with one hand and lightly binding down her finger with the other. Then looks up at me with moist eyes.
醜いって思いますか？
I raise my eyebrow. Inikui. Inikui? I pick my book back out. Oh, ugly. Okay, she's basically asking if I think she's ugly. I look back at her with my best deadpan expression. Hi. Oh my god! Oh my god, I actually forgot this happens. She once again freezes in place, a stupefied expression stuck on it. I point to the door again. Saru. Immediately she hops up from the bed and comes over towards me. As I raise my free-handed gesture once again, I feel her hand placed upon mine and she yanks it towards herself. She places my hand directly onto her chest. The moment she does this, the entire room goes dark. Seriously, what the hell is going on? I use the ensuing confusion to rip my hand away from her and move several feet away. That's when I hear another strange voice come through the darkness.
ねえ、数分だけ待てないの。
After a few moments, the darkness of the room begins to dissipate as the light comes back to full power. My eyes turn towards the open doorway. Standing there is a woman who lazily has her arms crossed as she is leaning against the door frame. I'm a dumbass, alright? With the exception of a pair of fox-looking ears and a tail, this woman bears no resemblance to the other one. That wasn't me. For one, she's built like a stick. Secondly, her outfit is far less ornate than the other woman's, and her hair looks like it lost a fight with a weed whacker, as well as fell into a vat of food coloring. The thing that really catches my attention, though, are her eyes. One is a dull silver, while the other is a bright red. Oh, great. Another crazy lady who I can't understand that just breaks into my place, just what I needed. The new woman's eyes seem to open slightly larger as she notices the other woman standing by herself. Scanning the room quickly, she looks over to me.
ああ、外国人。
She puts a hand to her chin.
面白いですね。
She then looks to me.
あれ、なんでそこで立っているの？
Once again, I have no idea what is being said. I really should learn some Japanese. I rub my temple with my forefingers. At this point, I basically memorized this phrase. Nihongo ni hanashimasen. I say this time with a bit more irritation than I mean to. There's a short silence.
Oh, you don't speak Japanese? How about English?
Immediately my head jerks upwards. I turn towards the girl who tilts her head. I make a beeline for her. Wait, you speak English? Oh my god, thank you. I get extremely close to her as I grab her by the shoulders without even thinking about it. What is going on? Who is this crazy lady? Why is she trying to sleep with me? How did she teleport into my house? Why did she get struck by lightning? I ask a million questions before the poor woman even has a chance to respond. As I'm holding her, her face seems to go a bit red. Upon composing herself, however, she manages to push my hands away from her deftly. She doesn't seem mad, however. In fact, she's smirking. Save here. We've met everybody, and my god, I have been streaming for like 2 hours. But you know what? I at least wanted to meet all the characters in one stream, at least, before taking a break to go get food, because I probably should eat at some point. Just a little longer, just a little longer. Doesn't seem to mind, however. In fact, she's smirking. Looking over to the other woman, a devilish grin crosses her face.
じゃあ、英語の勉強全部無駄だったってこと？
I'm not sure what the woman said, but it causes the other woman to huff and puff out her cheeks. Then looks back to me.
Right. I'll give you the short version. My name is Fumo. This is Aina. If you couldn't guess by now, we're not exactly what you would call human. We're spirits.
Spirits. Like ghosts. The woman calling herself Fumo crosses her arms as if annoyed.
Not ghosts. We're not dead people. We're like...
She thinks for a moment for the best word.
I guess you could say we're nature spirits. Or maybe goddesses. I'm sure I'm losing something in translation, though.
She points to the other woman.
She is the spirit of fertility. I'm the opposite. I'm the spirit of infertility.
So, what does that have to do with me? I ask rather curtly.
I'm getting there.
She responds equally as curt.
Every 300 or so years, Aina over there comes to the mortal realm to, well, breed with a human. She brings a new spirit into the world, and the world has fertile fortune for the next 300 years.
I blink at her in abject shock. I right-clicked by accident. Someone told me once to not interrupt a crazy person, though, so I figured I'd play along. Okay, let's say this is all true. What are you here for? She lets out a sigh as if I were a student who answered a really easy question incorrectly.
I'm basically here to try and stop her. If I can stop her from breeding with the chosen male for a year, then I win.
I assume that means 300 years of infertility. Kumo shrugs.
I suppose.
What do you mean, you suppose? I ask, confused. At this, she rubs the back of her neck, embarrassed.
Well, to tell you the truth, I've never won before.
I look back at Aina, then back to Fumo. Seriously? Her only response is to tighten her crossed arms and blush slightly. I put my fingers to my temple. So let me get this straight. You're both spirits who come here once every 300 years. This one over there wants to get pregnant from the guy who's randomly chosen. You're supposed to basically be the one who tries to break it up for a year. That about right? She nods. So answer me this. Why did she get struck by lightning earlier? Tilting her head, this seems to slightly confuse her.
Lightning? That only happens when...
She looks back from her to me.
Did you try to leave her?
Twice. I say, holding up 2 fingers. At first, Fumo starts a small giggle, before eventually full out laughing. What? What's so funny?
I'm sorry, it's just... That only happens when you're separated from one of us by more than a few meters. You mean, you actually...
She laughs again. So wait, that means I'm either stuck with you two for a year, or make a baby with that lady over there? Fumo nods.
That's about the size of it.
I sigh. Well, even if I were to believe you, which I'm still on the fence about, there's a problem with that. I'm not going to sleep with her. This seems to catch Fumo off guard as she looks at me genuinely confused.
Wait, what? You're not? Why not? You're not in a relationship, are you? No, they wouldn't have picked someone who was.
She looks me over as if trying to find a clue or something.
Oh, do you like men?
What? No! I do! Why not both? She deflates, thinking she had figured out the answer.
Then, why?
Did you honestly just ask me why I wouldn't sleep with a random woman who shows up in the woods? Besides, why are you questioning it? If what you're saying is true, isn't it your job to have me not sleep with her?
Huh? I mean, yes, technically it is, but I haven't ever really gotten the chance to try before.
The last part trails off.
I mean, normally at this point, they're usually already, you know.
Bumps her fists together for emphasis. Well, that was an image I didn't need, thank you. Suddenly her cheeks go bright red.
An image you didn't need. I actually have to be there.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Being forced to watch your rival get plowed for all eternity? I also can't think of a worse hell. So since she's not going to win, can you just call it before you guys go home? Kumo turns back to me.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. It's one or the other.
Damn it. Of course that's how it works. Well look, I'm exhausted. I need to take a shower. Can I ask you for a favor? He pauses for a moment, confused.
You want a favor from me?
Well, it's not so much a favor, I guess, but maybe your job? I don't know. Point is, can you keep crazy over there away from me while I take a shower? He looks between her and me before raising an eyebrow.
You sure you're not into men?
I lower my eyelids to half. Yes, Fumo, I am sure I don't like men. With that, I head into the bathroom and close the door behind me. As I undress, I step into the shower. What the hell is going on? I ask myself, exhausted both mentally and physically. Here I thought getting lost in the woods was the weirdest thing that was going to happen with me today. And I have two random spirits showing up to apparently live in my house for the next year. And the worst part of it is, on the bus and on the walk home, nobody seemed to notice or ever see Aina. So that might mean that only I can see them or something, so if I say anything, I'll probably just look like I'm crazy talking to thin air. The last thing I need in my life right now is to be hauled away to a crazy house in a different country. Okay, calm down, Charlie. You can deal with this. I finish my shower and dry myself off as I get into my pajamas. Upon exiting the shower, I notice Aina lying seductively on my bed while Fumo is lying on the floor. I turn my head towards Fumo and point towards the bed. Fumo, what's she doing on the bed? Fumo is looking at one of the books I had brought with me. She saw some looks from her to me.
She said that if she couldn't meet with you in the shower, she was going to wait for you on the bed.
I let out a sigh. I take a few steps towards Aina, grabbing one of the covers. I begin to roll her up in it until she is fully rolled up like a sushi, and then unceremoniously shove her off the bed. I turn back to Fumo. Fumo, you want the bed? She raises her eyebrow inquisitively.
Seriously?
Well, I sure as hell can't use this bed because I know the crazy girl over there is going to try something while I'm asleep, and there's no way that I'm going to let her have the bed as a reward, so it only makes sense to let you have it. She looks from the bed over to me.
Well, where are you going to sleep?
I have a sleeping bag. I'll sleep on the floor. Willow puts her hands to her chin as if deep in thought, then speaks again.
Well, you know, if you slept on the floor, there's a strong possibility she'll merely come at you there.
I didn't think of that. Well, what should I do? Willow puts her finger to her lip and pauses for a few moments. As if only coming to one answer, she exhales deeply, a twinge of red in her face.
You'll have to sleep in this bed with me.
What the? How is that any better? I ask louder than I meant it to. He gives me a cold look.
I meant sleep next to me, not with me. If you're such a pervert, maybe you should just sleep with her.
She turns away from me. I wave my arms frantically. No, wait, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you! Kumo looks back at me.
Well, as long as you understand.
She picks herself up and moves over to the bed, laying down.
This way, I can protect you if she comes for you in the night.
I nod tentatively, pulling out a spare blanket and make my way over to the bed. I slowly lower myself into the bed, moving as far to the edge as I can away from Fumo, while still being on the bed. She looks over to me and responds in a deadpan voice.
Don't worry, I'll protect you.
Thanks. I say, not quite sounding 100% sure. In a way, it's kind of funny seeing this petite woman promising to protect a bigger guy like me. I turn to look in the corner of the room and see that Aina is haughtily sitting in a chair, her arms crossed under her chest. I can't see from the angle I'm at, but I'm sure Fumo is flashing her an expression that's pissing her off. As I turn off the light, I think to myself that despite the fact that I'm completely exhausted, I think I'm going to have a hard time sleeping tonight. I ironically think this as my eyelids start to get heavy.
外国人の先生
Oh god. Okay, yep, this is a great place to stop actually. And go get food. Oh god, I love this game! God, it's so funny and it's so much fun. I still love it. Thank you, Brandon, for creating such a wonderful game, and thank you for letting me be a part of the team. It's been an absolute honor. I'm still gonna keep playing this at some point because I really want to go through Kotene's route. So I really want to get this done. Thank you everyone who watches the stream. Once again, the links to their Twitter and the itch.io is in the description box. And their game can be found on Steam, Gaikokujin no Sensei, or Foreigner Teacher, for $10. $10 for all this amazingness. Thank y'all so much.